Welcome back, everybody. Origen is currently 1 game away from Worlds 2015, and they are convening there backstage, looking what they're going to do in that possible final game for them versus the Unicorns of Love. Let's look at Game 2 before we step into a possible decider here, because it was a different story. I feel like a lot of the good things we saw coming out of the Unicorns of Love, they weren't able to do in Game 2. Why was that?
Oh, there were so many reasons in this game. First of all, picks and bans phase. It was another one where I actually felt like Unicorns on the first rotation did okay. I like that they gave away Braum to pick up Victor. I thought that was a very good matchup for the mid lane. However, from there it kind of gets a little bit loopy. The Kog'Maw gets picked up on the other side, and we were expecting the Corki to go over. The Gnar pick was the one that we were thinking, you know, it's not a bad pick, but there was so much better options available in our minds.
All right, definitely. So this is a point like we were talking about during the picks and bans. And when I saw the picks in the draft, I said, go Fizz, go Fizz, go Fizz, go Vichikachi. And even Shox did a wonderful joke about that. I will not tell until...
The Vizichachi, yeah. We actually made it before because we were looking at when did he play it before. It wasn't in summer, though, Vizichachi, but he did play it in spring. And Fizz in the postseason was 100% pick and ban until this game. And he also was 9-0 and undefeated, so it could have definitely worked. Other things that were quite interesting to me is you give the Victor over once again, and you could say, well, that might be a problem if you're a mid laner, you know it, he's not going to pick the Azir, or he didn't go for the Azir from Xpeke's side at that time. But I think it illustrates the way these teams like to play, because even with a solo kill on the Kog'Maw, and you know the Power of Evil can get fed, it just doesn't work for the way the Unicorns play. They don't have enough to back it up in the end.
Right, and Peke knows that he can just take a champion like Kog'Maw, sit back, farm, and doesn't have to be the carry for his team. Whereas on the other side, Power of Evil has to carry. You heard it right at the beginning of, at the end of Game 1, where he was talking about, you know, let me carry on this, let me carry this game. He's going to need like a bag of holding to carry this, because he just can't get himself far enough ahead to actually let the Unicorns win the game. Vardax is falling behind. Chachi in this game never got into it either.
All right, and two things about that. First, could come back to the Fizz pick. Not only Fizz is 9-0 and had never been defeated currently, the Gauntlet, but also Fizz is a counter to Elise. That's why it's really good, because Elise, whenever she wants to gank, she will try to hit the Cocoon. And Elise, Fizz, whenever he's getting scared about the gank, he will like just keep his E, his trick, trickster, something like that.
Playful tricks.
Playful tricks, and he will just keep it, and then everything will be fine. So the first gank of Amazing was on this Gnar and got a kill. Secondly, about the mid lane, when TSM versus Cloud9, first game of the LCS, Victor versus Kog'Maw, Bjergsen and Victor, 100 and maybe 20 CS ahead of Kog'Maw, just managed to snowball the game. Power of Evil in the same game managed to get a kill, managed to get a little bit of, not in creeps, but maybe in terms of experience, but nothing happened. So mostly, like, Power of Evil tries to do things, but there is like maybe a bit stuck because of his jungle support. Synergy to go even deeper.
Yeah, and speaking of the support, the one saving grace could have been the engage from the Annie. The problem was, could never get close enough to flash Tibbers. There was always the vision control from Origen, and when there wasn't quite the control, Kog'Maw's sitting in a bush, and as Annie runs forward, takes one ultimate, and for Peke it's child's play, because he just takes half the health of Annie, can't flash Tibbers, can never get the engage, and from there Unicorns just had no options left.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Maybe it's all planned, reverse sweep. I mean, it's been going around in the gauntlets, who knows?
Maybe. I mean, you look at yesterday's NA games, and the first two you said the Cloud9 were completely out of it. So stranger things have happened.
Stranger things have happened, but for now, though, it is match point for Origen looking towards Worlds, and we asked you guys at home thinking who you think is ready for the international stage, and at Greedy Raven tweeted Origen, of course. They're the best at adapting their picks and bans and can keep their heads when they lose. Picks and bans, we saw in Game 5, they had a really good pick and ban phase yesterday versus Roccat, and they did adapt, if that's the way you want to see it. But definitely the fact of we saw Amazing being so exhausted and tired yesterday after the series. They had to bounce back from a roller coaster, really, in that Fnatic game, then go back into the Gauntlet. That must be a really good strength for them going into the international games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all know, like, Peke, Soaz, they are like immense player, basically. But just what I wanted to point is that it's a really cool story for Origen, really beautiful story. Like, they just came in January January, creates Origen, then decide to go, okay, we go from the bottom and we go from Challenger. Then Challenger series, they just end up first. They go auto qualification, then they go into LCS, then they go into second into the playoff, lose against Fnatic 3-2. And then after comes back, plays again against Roccat, 3-2 against Roccat, and now against Unicorn. So in a certain way, this is a beautiful story, and I would love Origen to go through these worlds. And actually, I will take the word from Peke, but maybe they deserved it.
Maybe they deserve it, but then they will have to close it out right here and right now in Game 3 or in Game 5. That would also be cool. With the teams ready, we're going to hand things back over to the casters for that Game 3.
Thank you very much, Shocks, and the rest of the analyst desk. Guys, be sure to stick with us as we wrap up here in Berlin, because when we are through, the North American LCS will take over for their final world qualifying match between Team Liquid and the Janitors, Cloud9, who like to specialize in reverse sweeping their opponents. Unicorns of Love would like to channel some of High's strats and shot calling, because if they don't reverse sweep, they're not going to Worlds.
I think we need some Kha'Zix.
We need some Mumu.
Some Shyvana, some cheese, sprinkle it up. Some Chaos style.
The thing is here, so the conversation we had on the analyst desk, and we also talked about here with the pick and ban phase for Unicorns of Love, it's not bad comps they're running. I mean, the compositions are good. The problem is when it comes to getting, well, that's one problem. Fairly weak early game we saw in the last one. And then when it comes to having that one specific pick that would just do so well, they tend to not play it. Yeah. Fizz is a good example in the last game. We haven't seen it from Chachi. We know the Victor is going to be the pick for Power Vivo, and that's really been the problem for Unicorns all playoff long. The pick and ban phase, the champion pools are just not good enough.
I think it has been a problem all season long. And at the start of the season, you can excuse that. Okay, maybe you don't play this champion, that's fine. But when you're on a patch as long as you are today, 5.14, you know you're going to go into Worlds. That is not an excuse. You can't arrive at the World Finals and say, yeah, you know, Fizz, champion's really hard, couple of buttons, I can't really play it, or Kalista doesn't really work for us, or hyper carries, what are they? We only play around 2 lanes. It's simply not good enough, and you can fault the Unicorns for that.
Well, the question is it because they don't feel like they can play the champions? I don't think so, because they have some good players here with good mechanics. I think more it's the mindset you have of how you want to play League of Legends, what kind of compositions you want to run, which seems to be different compared to all the other teams playing the meta right now, and it just puts you in a disadvantage unless you're so good at playing these specific picks that it will
bend the game too. Yeah.
Then basically you create the meta somehow. But now we have so many other regions doing basically the opposite, and they do it for a reason.
Well, we'll have to discuss this a little further if we get to a 3-0 from Origen towards Unicorns of Love in what could be the last European game on 5/14. Lulu, Kalista, Braum is banned away from Unicorns of Love. We see Victor taken off the table from PoE. Pekka says, I don't want to get killed by that anymore. And first pick, Pirate problems.
And this is the one pick for Visit Chachi in top lane where we don't say, okay, he's just on a tank. Now he's on a carry. He's going to build full damage. He had one game on it against H2K. Yeah. He got a lot of kills, but we didn't get to see much from him when it came to his barrel mechanics. We need to see if he can beat Soaz. Fizz is open. Yep. The pick Soaz took into Huni and killed him multiple times.
Yeah, Soaz will actually be happy with this, because this means he doesn't have to steal the Maokai away. A champion he hasn't played all season except twice now. Obviously doesn't seem to really want to play Maokai all that much. Yeah. He can get the Fizz into this matchup. Not only that, right now, Vardax is pressured again. He lost his Elise, his Corki is gone too. He has to go into Tristana, and that means the Unicorns will have to start catering around him. They can do that. They now have a global ultimate to support him when he goes for these all-ins. They have an aggressive support. Hildesang is a fantastic trash player if he can get the picks. That means Unicorns of Love will need to orient themselves around bot lane and top lane at the same time and see if they can make that work.
And we could clearly see how Origen were baiting out this gangplank.
Right, they knew.
Braum came in as the last ban for Unicorn, so Origen had to decide, okay, we know they're going to first play the gangplank if we leave it open. Do we want to ban it? No, instead take away Victor because it has been a good pick for Power Vivo. We should still expect that Fizz to come in, and you can even save now your mid lane pick for Pekka if you want him to have a counter matchup.
You can flex the Fizz.
You can flex it as well. We have seen him play it in mid lane as well.
Yeah, Pekka has got his hands on that once before for Origen. Adapting is something that we actually heard from the tweets, as well as we've seen in the best of 5 against Roccat, that helped them win the series. There is that Fizz that we're expecting. What else do they add in? Or the top lane or support?
I would have gone with Alistair, but I can understand if Origen wants more hard engage than they take an Annie.
Yeah, because looking at what Unicorns have so far, Gangplank is no engage. He's not going to run at your enemy team, but he can set up barrels really effectively to protect his back line. Tristan obviously sitting back there, hypercarry with the long range. So Origen probably respecting the fact that Unicorns could start running a poke comp. We have seen it time and time again for Power of Evil. He likes to play these scaling poke champions in the mid lane. Pekka even stole away one of his picks in the last game. So Origen, I feel like this support pick is basically saying, we can see what you're building towards, and we're just going to stop it already. Yeah, we're going to stop it right now. You know? We're not even going to let you go for it.
We'll see whether or not Origen...
Why is English so hard, man?
Oh, I know.
One day we will cast in Danish. Please.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay, hold on. Reset. So, Mithy, Annie, Engage, as well as the Flex Fizz. Origen had a very poor tower dive in the previous game. It could have been punished more. It could have been more problematic, but it was not. We are going to see Azir for the first time from Power of Evil, as well as Horror going back to Lee Sin, the champion that he played throughout the quarterfinals, throughout his Week 9 games.
So he did say he could carry on Azir and Victor.
Well, he said he had a backpack.
Yeah, sure. And they could jump into it and he will take care of the rest.
It's not that big at the moment.
Well, I mean, he's been doing his job. He was 7-0 game 1. He got a kill solo
where did it lead
game
him?
2. I mean, how much do you want him to do?
10-0.
Well, regardless of that, it wasn't enough to help the team, and he's going to be playing against his, let's dare say, one signature champion, Varus.
Okay, so we get a little bit of everything from Origen.
Yep.
We have the split pushing component in the Fizz. We have the long-range poke from both Pekka and Nils, and then Mithy, because again, they were looking a little bit towards this very backline-heavy composition from Unicorns. They wanted some engage, so we get a little bit of everything. And then Varus is a counter pick to Azir.
A little bit of everything, except tanks. We have one almost tanky champion in Elise in this game, which means a lot of brawling, a lot of fighting, a lot of picks coming out. One could even call it chaos. I know there's a certain analyst out there that really likes this style come out.
We could just see Soaz, though,
devolve into this style. Yeah.
Yeah, Soaz can just go Trinity Force tank, but obviously, again, he is split pushing. So
not by definition super tanky.
Exactly. It's not a Maokai.
It's not a Maokai.
By any means.
Not like the two previous games, but for Origen, they also have an explosive team composition that wants to get the damage down and look to engage.
These team fights can be over in like 5 seconds, basically.
Oh, yes.
There's so much damage on both sides.
Cannot wait. Ducky and Sheepy leaving the farmyard of the middle of the stage for what could be the last time of 2015. For Origen, this regional qualifier has exposed a lot of weaknesses. Yes, that's the weaknesses hand signal. But it's also shown how good they can be. Side lane manipulation, pick and ban adaptation, you know, depth of character down against Roccat in what could be the last game of the year. And Origen smashed him in 24 minutes. Now let's see if Unicorns can dig deep. Can they avoid another 0-3 sweep? It's the Unicorns of Love taking on Origen in the final game of our regional qualifier.
Really interested to see if Origen want to take normal lanes or opt in for a swap here. Strategically speaking, they are, by a large margin, the better lane swapping team. So they could bend the game to their will, in my opinion, with that. Unicorns have shown that they've just not been adapting the greatest. They've got maybe the first 5 minutes down, but then they haven't played enough games correctly to get through that later on.
And the thing about that top lane matchup, Soaz wants to get his level 6 before he really wants to start going all in against the Gangplank, and that's where the problem is for the good old Gangplank. You used to be able to just max your oranges and be like, haha, I'm just going to heal for everything and out-sustain. You don't do that anymore, so you are open for all ins from a Fizz, and it's very easy to land a fish onto you.
And then in the bot lane, obviously the first couple of autos are still in favor of Annie Corki if it comes to a trade. Tristana really gets that damage advantage once she gets to 4 stacks on that E, potentially jump in for amplification, but you need full control of jungle vision for that, and that is something Unicorns of Love haven't really had this entire series.
And I want to see if Origen now sticks to the same kind of lane swaps we saw against Roccat, where it's a lot of focus on getting Soaz as quickly as possible into the wave together with the AD carry and support, so you fast push down that tower 5-10 seconds ahead of the other team. And one thing you need to notice then is Nils as an AD carry, he doesn't go in and start last hitting only, he starts constantly shoving the wave from level 1. So he gets that fast push going, where other AD carries, they sit back, they wait for the last hit, and then they fall behind 5-10 seconds, which can be key for Origen later on in the swap.
And it does look like Origen is going to try and do this. They did not opt for the deep wards initially, they just know Unicorns of Love didn't step into our jungle. It's likely that they're going for traditional lanes. Let's invade here, and they're really going to mess up this duo jungle, especially these barrels set up ready on that blue buff, but all that preparation will go to waste. Mithy can solo zone them out of this jungle. He knows that the smite's been used right now because of the ghost. Almost stole that too. But yeah, this means at least 2 camps on this side, 3 on the top. So 5 camps for the dual jungle from Origen. That's fine. Very big advantage.
Bit of a greedy start we have seen before from Unicorns of Love as well. I mean, if you have a champion where you want to set up some barrels beforehand, do it on your strong side. Do it where you know your dual lane is already, so you guarantee they can get that fast clear, because it does set them behind. And I keep highlighting it. Look how Niels is constantly just shoving the wave. He's pushing in because he wants Source now to join as fast as possible. And the time, Unicorns of Love are far away from this tower. So suddenly, 10-15 seconds will be in favor of Origen. That's enough to decide what's going to happen next in the swap and give Source a big advantage when he gets some extra minions as well.
Yeah, let's see if Soas does stick around for that minion wave in local gold. The one benefit that Unicorns have, Tristan is very, very good at killing towers, as is Gangplank's passive.
Now I want to see what Chachi does once this wave bounces. Yesterday, we saw Steve initiate the freeze and then realize that he would get zoned off. Whereas Soas, when he knows somebody's going to zone him off a freeze, he will just quickly push the wave backwards when the enemy lanes is approaching. Let's see if Vizichachi watched that series and learn.
And again, that's the thing about being fast in the swap, because once you start the freeze, it's at the tower here when it dies. So you're very far away from your own turret. If 2 guys goes down to support an AD carry, which Origen will always do with both Mythy and Niels, they will zone you off the farm. So you basically either have to leave the lane or you have to try and fast push it out, but then suddenly you have a lane where you won't get any farm the next few minutes and you have to swap to the other side.
Interesting adaptation. They gave the gold of the tower fully to Vardax. So it's the first time I see Unicorns of Love play on their hyper carry. Disagree, because it should have gone to Gangplank in my opinion, because he's the champion that needs it, probably just to get it over the pickaxe threshold. Yeah. He has a bit of an advantageous matchup now into Corki.
That's the problem for him. When you have to then rush down the tower, you don't get enough for the pickaxe. You just get a second Doran's Blade. Corki, of course, doesn't really care, because going for the Phage first anyway is just get a longsword, and it's fine. You get some combat stats building towards the Trinity Force, so he can be okay sharing it with Soas.
Horan knows Hora's behind, so Mythy will have to likely flash out of here.
No more knockup from that QE combo from Azir. That's a flash from Mythy. Soaz is in a little bit of trouble. I take that back because he's got Amazing's help with Vardax. They've got the teleport from Chachi as well.
Cancel.
And a defensive repel.
You have to send 2 guys up here when you want to push out this wave, because Origen will always have backup ready for Soaz. They value him getting so much farm in the swap. Chachi had to TP up, so it's not worst case for him. But Summoner's being blown from Vardax. In the mid lane as well, though. Pekka used both. Amazing, of course, used Flash in the gang.
Yeah, Origen pinpointing the weakness here. Going for Vardax, who was on his own trying to clear that wave. Obviously, very easy to predict it too, because Tristana auto pushes on her own.
And now the problem for Chachi is you have a wave that's going to push towards Soaz as well, so you will have to overextend. Amazing can return to this top side if he wants to and force Chachi away, and then make sure Soaz gets that advantage that is so key in these swaps, especially when you have a matchup where the Fizz at level 6 can all in on a Gangplank again and again and again.
And look at where Horo is going. He's going to the bottom side of the map when his top side needs help. There's no communication here. It is much more important for him to assist Vizichachi in getting experience in farm. There is no way in hell that Vardax and Hylissang are going to die 2v2 against that wave that is pushing in. Especially since Niels is down in items. Look, he's even basing. So Horo is going all the way from base to the bottom side of the map to get Krugs. He's now walking into an empty lane almost. So he's wasting so much time on his own, and the Unicorns of Love really need his assistance.
Inefficient pathing from Horo. We did see Amazing at least put a little pressure on Chachi before deciding to pick up his first itemization. Niels has also swapped, so he's going to be heading up to the top lane with Mythy.
Because you can see down the bottom lane, the Tristana, as we mentioned a few times, will automatically push the wave. So the Fizz can now recall and catch another big wave on the bot side. Chachi, on the other hand, is going to have to deal with both Corki and Annie. Once he wants to farm, it's probably going to be shoved into his wave, but it also opens up Mythy to start roaming around the map. And Hylissang is doing exactly the same. So we get these lane swaps that just keep going on, where they keep swapping around. So the support suddenly will no longer sit in a lane. They will fall behind an experience. But if they can assist in a kill in the mid lane or in the jungle, it is definitely worth it.
And that is why Corki has been such a still meta pick overall. Amazing gets hooked here, but there's no backup just yet. Actually, Horo goes in.
That's an early ignite as well. Power of Evil's come to respond. There was no flash. Emperor's Divide goes backwards. First blood picked up by Horo's Lee Sin.
Allied, plenty of backup here. Soaz is looking to assassinate Vardax, though, 1v1.
Let's find out. No Chum the Waters or ignite from Soaz. He's halfway to level 6, so still some time before he can look to go all in for the kill. While all that's going on, Niels is pushing the wave into Vizichachi up top as well.
So very good move here from Unicorns, also knowing they had to push in the mid lane, so it's very easy for Azir to move in. provide some backup. Now Horo is going to find Peke.
He is.
Or is he
the
finding
chain of
Horo?
corruption does not connect. It's the most missed skill shot in League of Legends, I'm sure. But there is going to be some tower damage onto that middle turret as Peke, no summoners, still gets pressured.
That was a horrible ulti from Peke.
As we get back to the game, Unicorns of Love have got themselves a kill, have got themselves a tower, and despite some of the mistakes on the map, they are now grouped up in the middle lane. They want to find Peke. There's no flash.
I missed it.
But the cannon barrage is burning. Here comes Horo. The resonating strike picks up the kill. He's 2-0 on the blind monk.
I love what Hylissang did initially. Put him next to a wall, eliminate one dodge angle, but he shot his hook a little bit too late, allowing Peke to step out. Tricky. Good sidestep from Peke, but doesn't matter when Horo's Lee Sin is on point.
And Unicorn's really playing around this mid lane because Peke had to use both summoners in that early trade we saw. Power Weaver had to push so he could jump for the first kill, and then now second one here again. We got Gangplank ulti coming down, slowing him. It's such an easy setup. Really like how they're trying to set up Power Weaver again to be a carry and trying to shut down Peke.
Unicorns pushed up top lane day base, and if there's any team that knows how to learn from getting punished from buying too many tiers, it is probably the Unicorns themselves. So they've been in the same boat for many games, so they do know the little power drop you go through before you buy or when you buy that tier. Eventually you get that power spike, but Peke is stuck on wave clear duty right now. He is still even on CS though, so in terms of farming and itemization, he's still okay. Just need to see if the Unicorns can snowball this pressure on the map, get deep vision, make more picks.
There's something that we've touched on elsewhere throughout the series, and this time never more evident. A lack of tanks on both sides. Yes, you're going to see Lee's get a little tanky, but you got Warrior Enchant, Lee Sin as well. And Horo set up with Hylissang. No flash for Hylissang. Mithi is sitting down the bottom half of the map and
trying to get some XP.
Yeah.
He's a full level behind Hylissang right now, so he's trying to catch up. And goes down to the bottom. As long as Vardex can farm, he should be okay. Still a way down to Corki, especially in that Triforce versus iEdge matchup.
We've seen a lot more focus on Hylissang though when it comes to enabling the roam together with Horo. These two guys have been part of the kills early on, doing such a good job setting Origen behind, and this has been during the regular season before we came into playoff. The way to shut down Origen's early game was by shutting down Amazing and Mithi. Outplayed him in the early stages with your support jungler, get the map control from it. So far it's been working okay for Unicorns. The one concern is still the fact that Soul's been getting so much farm, but there's a massive wave being picked up by Chachi. It means Origen can set up something on the bottom lane, because this Gangplank, he does not want to leave this lane at this point.
So as was roaming through the jungle, there's some deep vision there. You can see that big wave by Chachi will help balance out the 30 CS down that our Gangplank Pirate has against Soas. But look at the middle. It's once again another giant party. Let's find out who's got who. Hylissang's caught out, gets a two-man defensive play. The piercing arrow hits from downtown. Kill credit to Mithi.
And this is something we've seen before from Unicorns. You can't do all these things at once. You can't freeze your top lane when Soas is roaming mid to put pressure and then still try to invade on the right side of the map. You can't do that because Origen will punish you. They just simply have more members in this area. And at the cost of that play will be half the middle tower, if not full.
Also just fun to see. Oh, Fish connecting.
It's going to be a zoning Fish.
Got him out.
But we really get to see as well the power of like an any Elise combo. If you get the jump onto the other team, stun into Cocoon, the amount of burst damage they had, and then Peke is shooting the last arrow to make sure they got the kill. Very important for Origen to start bouncing back in that little matchup, a little fight between Amazing Mithi and of course Hylissang and Horo.
And this is maybe the 4th time somebody's been spotted by this ward in Tribush. And if you really want to play around your bot lane, you need to bring a pink ward or avoid that spot. It's the easiest place to ward, and Horo has been spotted out continuously over time the last 3 minutes. Now it's been swept, but that ward was 30 seconds from expiring, so very inefficient sweeping and communication again. And Unicorns are too obvious in their pathing, and it allows Origen to just punish them.
And now once again, big wave top going towards Soas. Peke knows, okay, nobody's going to be on the top side of the map, so they can only be in the bottom side because nobody's obviously going to show up here with the massive wave. So a lot of fights again around this dragon. While nobody seems to care about the dragon because again, it will slow down the game. It's about getting the kills right now. It's about getting that lane advantage. And both supports still roaming around.
Yeah, but Hylissang's got access to the box. Mithi does not have access to Tibbers. Level 6 versus level 4 still. And you know, yesterday when Roccat picked Azir, Origen used a very quick tower knockdown strategy to gain an advantage in the early game to punish the weaker wave clear early from Azir. They haven't had the same opportunity despite that previous group in the middle.
I would love to see that pink ward they have in the tri-bush up top be moved into the bush in the river from Origen, because they have had full control of top side, and that would make it so easy to set up these plays here. Looks like Horror's going to bring it to Origen, though. They're going in at least.
Chum the waters. Vizicachi's going to get caught, stunned up by Mithy. You don't need Tibbers. The Lantern comes out, but the damage over time from the Trident and Ignite gets Origen their second kill.
I absolutely love this play from Mithy, moving into the brush when you know the lane's freezing. Are they going to come and gank, bring more members? Amazing's there too. So this was all pre-planned, a minute in advance from Origen. And they managed to make it stick, even though Vizicachi ate an orange. Mithy just simply flashes after, stuns him. And Amazing kept Horo busy, and then they predicted what the Unicorns were going to do. They knew what they were going to do before the Unicorns really had it all figured out themselves.
And it's just that super annoying situation as a top lane, and when a wave is pushing away from you, you can't just ignore it because you can't fall further behind. You're gangplank, you need Trinity Force, you need Infinity Edge, very expensive items. So you need to show yourself there. And either if you're there alone, you just die to the gank. If your teammates show up, you might even lose the 3v3 because the jump is in favor of Origen. That also gives Mithy a lot of experience, falling so far behind, but then being part of a kill. Now he's level 6.
And that's the difference. Hylissang, yes, he's out-leveling Mithy, but that's because Mithy is pathing to the areas where he's needed a lot quicker. Eventually he catches up due to these kills. He's checking Horo right now, pink ward goes down. But Hylissang, he was still around mid when Mithy was already positioned in that brush, so yeah, a little quicker on the trigger on the side of Origen.
That's going to be how Origen can win this matchup. With the Fizz, with the Annie, to get those combos together. Fan votes at home heavily.
About as one-sided as so as a CS at the moment over Chachi. Like, what do you do as a gangplank? You need about what? How much gold do you need? 7,000, 8,000 for Infinity Edge, Trinity Force, and that's only for you to really start becoming super strong. Again, you need even more than later on if you want to be a late game carry. Chachi might have to just go for the Ghost Blade second because he won't get the gold, possibly not get the gold to get a BF Sword and Infinity Edge after Trinity Force is completed, and that delays the whole late game build, but will at least make him a little bit stronger.
And this is the snowball right now. Gangplank is slowly pushing out bot wave, but that leaves the rest of the map 5 against 4, especially 5 against 3. If top lane is pushing out slowly as well, Amazing now gets hooked, but he should be fine. There should be enough backup to zone them out. Power Wheel is still dealing with that wave. Vizicachi wasn't in position, and whenever Gangplank slowly pushes out and slowly gets that gold, well, he loses more gold for his team when another tower goes down, so when an objective goes down. Origen is punishing pretty hard right here.
And then tower goes down, deep wards get into the jungle. The composition from Unicorns, they engage from them as a hook, like we see here from Hylissang, or maybe a flank from Horo. That's how they started. Otherwise, the Varus and the Corgi are going to be so safe in the backline. They can take down the Dragon super easily right here as well. Chachi trying, but once these deep wards come in, this like we talked about in the last game, once you get the flanks warded up against so little hard engage on the side of Unicorns, suddenly the Varus will really kick in and become powerful, and Azir will have a hard time doing anything.
It just feels like Unicorns are now being dragged around the map. Vardex is going to be able to at least get the tower up in the top lane, well, he's found Hylissang. With the help of Picker.
Can't afford to take that path. Good thing that Vardex takes the top tower. Horror stole the red buff, but they're losing too much at the other side of the map. This is like a cross map. Dragon goes down, okay, we go top, but you have to get back in time to not lose the bottom side of your map again, because there's nothing you can take that remains in the top side. Origen's overall taking more than Unicorns can acquire due to the advantageous vision control they've gotten in the jungle.
And now there's 2 Trinity Forces. There's Distortion, Moby Boots for Mithy. Manimmune's been picked up by Pekka. He's actually sitting on 1,700 gold, so he's going to get some armor penetration in a few seconds. Origen were already looking good. Now they've just hit a nice spike in itemization that's going to allow them to do even more to Unicorns.
And the way Origen have been playing out around towers has been so low risk. There's so little Unicorns can do to punish them. It's not tower diving them this time around. No, it's just always have that numbers advantage or read where Unicorns are setting their members, and then you just slowly push down the tower. No real threat on you.
Now this is the point of the game though where you can stop the bleeding. Unicorns are only 1.5k gold behind. They're going in for a blue steal here. I'm sure you like that, Martin, overall. But if they can stop the bleeding and they can even out the gold, they're still in this game. They have triple damage composition.
If they don't die.
Oh, amazing.
If they don't die, let's see who's going to be in trouble. Soaz has found Horo. Dragon's Rage will not be enough to save him, and Amazing gets out. So yes, they get the blue steal, but they lose their jungler in the process. The tower makes it worthwhile.
Blue steal is always worth it, Trevor.
Yes, it is. Hylissang gets the play on Mithy. Tibbers comes out. I think there was no stun charge. Mithy's going to be in trouble. Vardax wants to go aggressive. His Peke is now in trouble. There is a flash for Peke, and he's got home guard boots on. I think those are. I don't know with distortion earlier. Regardless, Niels pushing up in the top lane as it looks like Unicorns of Love stick around middle.
At this point here, if you are the Unicorns and you're getting so close to taking the kills, you just got to all in for them because you need something. You're losing your side lane. Source is going to join in, and Hylissang, there's a trap.
It is a trap. The flash goes nowhere. He goes to the Grom. Hilly tries to escape, but he won't get away from Chum the Waters. The Narwhal, Killer Whale rather, gets the kill credit. Here comes Power of Evil. He's got the help of Horo. Defensive flash from Mithy, and this is getting messy. Cannon Barrage comes down from Vizichachi.
Nowhere close.
Hold him in place. Big crit there from Vizichachi, and here comes Power of Evil from the river. Playful Trickster's out. Niels, he goes aggressive, but he eats a powder keg. He gets one. Manages to stay alive a few seconds longer. Soaz now looking for more. Emperor's Divide trades it back. Unicorns have got themselves 2 kills on the back foot as Peke gets chunked down. Commanding Sands comes out from Power of Evil. And they're going to turn. It's not done yet. Soaz still going to take him on a chase. The man that died to start it all is the man that will not connect the death sentence. He will find the flay, however. Pulls Horo in. Can the kill get donated to Vardax? No. Horo says he wants it.
Not going to risk it, though. Soaz suddenly jumping over the wall or something, killing Vardax. But such a good fight from Unicorns of Love. Managed to chase away the ulti from Vizichachi as well. At first, Origen is in control. And they're reading this.
Buys enough time with this maneuver. Look at it. Tension goes down. Any stun goes down. Amazing uses Q. Now Horus full HP. Power Reveal comes in. Is not challenged. Niels makes the right decision here. Going, but look at where Xpeke is and look where Vardax is flanking.
Yeah, because Vardax on his way. He's going to cut off Peke, and then the ulti from Chachi is great. Niels realizing he's not going to be able to escape. Just wants a kill. But with Power Reveal still being here and so healthy.
But why is OG fighting then? That's the problem. This is miscommunication. Niels is saying, I will go suicide 1-for-1. But OG, they decide to take that fight and then they donate 2 more kills. And that is the biggest difference. They can't afford to misinterpret these fights and cause decisions because that was a big mistake by them. And props to Unicorns. They really capitalized on that play. They really capitalized on the greed and had to even out the game.
Yeah, take a lead in the overall gold for the game as we hit 20 minutes. We saw how Unicorns struggle when they have a gold deficit at 20. They've got IH, they've got Triforce, a bunch of kills on their carries. And you know, Cripper, you said in the pregame, Chaos style was a thing, and it seems to be coming back in what could be Unicorn's last game.
Not touching that one. That was a joke. Chaos style is not a thing. I'm just taunting.
That's going to be your talk. I'm not part of it.
Yeah, I'm really taunting Monte Cristo here. I don't think it's the right style to, but it works. Chaos style is the best in the world. Back to actual analysis. Show.
Not really sure why Unicorns was sending 4 guys to the bottom side. Now Hylissang is walking straight into Soaz.
Soaz is going to be chunking him down. Playful's up, even though he gets caught by the death sentence. Won't be enough to kill. Why did the Chaos comes down?
It just looked so good for Unicorns after that fight where they punished Origen. Suddenly 4 guys walk down to the bottom side. Origen takes a free top tower, and now this. Free kill for Origen. They still have poke. It's very, very strong. With 20 minutes in, the Corki is in the power spike. The Var is at the same time. You're just going to push down this mid lane.
Barrel mechanics, barrel mechanics. Someone's going to get hit, and it does chunk Niels for about 30% of his hit points. But Origen are going to rely on the poke from Peke and not overcommit.
The fact that Origen did manage to get a tier 2 tower in the top lane is big for them because it just gives them a little bit extra gold. It is so hard to snowball and get remaining towers before the enemy teams even them out. Now we're 4 towers to 3. Kills are pretty even. Fight for blue buff. Spec is helping. Game is pretty close, but the Unicorns, they really need to start thinking ahead more. That one play was good because it happened slowly, and everybody could see what was going to happen. Unicorns were finally on the same page, but they kind of stopped talking. They're like, okay guys, we aced them. Now we can win the game, and then they just really don't know what to do next.
It gets more difficult with all outer towers down. You have to go quite deep into enemy territory to get any more of those objectives. Origen will at least get their second dragon completely uncontested. Deep vision. Not the greatest, but there is a few wards from Origen inside Unicorn's jungle.
That's right. It's
very cheeky recall position.
Well, here's the thing, and again, it's boring to always keep mentioning the vision and so on, but
it's not boring, Deficio. I like it.
You like it, fine. But for Unicorns of Love, in order for them to really execute this composition properly and get the fights onto this poke composition, they need those deep wards here, because you've got to be able to set up the flank with your Lee Sin. You can't just rely on Hylissang walking forward, land one hook and say, guys, that's a fight, let's go. Because that's too easy for Origen to play around. And therefore, once you get a kill, once you get one kill, or Origen makes one mistake, you gotta capitalize, not necessarily by taking a tower, but by getting into their jungle, get the wards down, and then use them the next few minutes to your advantage. It's setting up 3 minutes before something even happens.
Problem is, we've not seen that from Unicorns actually most of the year. As a team, the joke around Chaos thrived when it came to these slightly messy games, and they took advantage of the mess and the misplays to get their advantage.
Only advantage in not predicting or planning what you do is that your opponent can't do it either. If you don't know what you're going to do next, how will Origen ever predict it?
Well, let's take your towers.
Yes.
Yeah, you can run around the jungle all you want.
I give up. Chaos style's bad.
Well, as it stands, Unicorns and Origen are on even footing. There's one tower extra for Origen, but it's Unicorns on the offensive. They've grouped up middle with that Sundisk as backup.
And you cannot just push against the Varus. He's going to wave clear so easily, even Nils can join. So now down the bottom lane, someone needs to deal with Soaz, who's pushing in. He's going to go for his Nash's Tooth second item build once again. So he really wants to be able to shove down these towers. But it makes him very, very, very squishy for fights.
And every time Vizicsacsi groups for some of these plays that the Unicorns are setting up, he loses 1 or 2 waves on the side lane. And 1 or 2 waves isn't much, but over time that accumulates and just stalls or launches Soaz even further ahead to the point where Chachi can't even deal with it anymore. And that's when the Unicorns get in trouble, if Origen can abuse the split push to their advantage.
And you get the problem as well, when you can't start the fight, the poke will land at some point. You might see 10 skill shots getting missed, but then number 11 will hit. And once you start slowly getting chunked, you will have to go back to base suddenly. And that opens up for Origen then to move away from the tower in towards the river and start setting up for Dragon or Baron. And now you got to deal with face checking into poke, into anti-tippers, into ulti from a Varus.
No tippers.
Okay, no tippers.
That tipper's not the greatest Timothy, slightly.
Well, it was the point. He had to face check in.
The thing is, there is one ward on Baron in the pit that Origen haven't found, and they assumed it was complete darkness. Therefore, they assumed Horo would face check further. Thank you, observers. That lone ward will buy enough time for Unicorns to get the Oscar. Just act as if, oh guys, we don't see what's going on in Baron. We have to face check and then juke out every time somebody tries to punish you.
The entire time that this vision game has been played out in the top half of the map, Soaz is only now leaving the bottom lane. He kept shoving it in, waiting for Chachi to show and playing it safe. He's not even recalling, actually. Got teleports available, so Origen relatively committed to their numbers in the top half and seeing how long Soaz can maintain control in the bottom lane.
Soaz is just lulling Vizicsacsi into a false sense of security. Chachi knows he has to be careful on certain brushes, but once he gets pushed farther...
Why is Horo down here?
Trying to make a pick, maybe get some vision out so Vizicsacsi can at least push out far enough. He's not dropping any wards though, not a team player. But and then suddenly Baron.
This ward is still there. It's gonna expire obviously just in a few more seconds, and Origen's gonna see it, so they realize...
They don't even see it.
No, they don't even get to see it. Getting removed.
Teleport's traded though. Soaz did TP in for that play. Chachi cancelled his. Maybe not actually if he arrived. We'll watch those cooldowns in a little bit.
And Chachi right now is giving up on the Infinity Edge second item dream for Gangplank, and Vadax, he's giving up on his life.
Well, he's down. Soaz is going to find him the tick. More than enough and an easy kill for Soaz.
So again, we get to see their tanky route from the Gangplank, which is just not very effective. I mean, it loses a lot of your carry potential, but again, he's so far behind. That is where I like to see Ghostblade second coming in, though, if you are that far behind.
It's going to delay the Baron a few more seconds, and there's no real tankiness on the side of Origen, so they don't want to take this kill. Aura's going to ride the Lantern to safety, but they've chunked out the jungler.
And this is what happens when Unicorns don't have that ward. So that is what Origen was expecting to happen. Obviously, they made a mistake and didn't quite clear out that Baron area enough. They took enough damage, though, from Gangplank, AoE ulti, and a couple of Barons to stop that in the process. So Origen will now have to back up and rebuild that entire vision. So it's a slow process. It involves Soaz pushing bot, then moving out, clearing the vision, then deep warding, and then punishing.
But they can keep doing it because, again, there's no reaction from Unicorns. There's 0 wards behind them. There's no risk of a flank. Chachi will never be able to stand 1 versus 1 against the Fizz. So that means Origen will keep having that control on the map until Unicorns pulls out a very, very risky engage. But at this time, you almost just have to do it because you can't wait for Origen to take over the map.
But Origen, if they keep doing it but inefficiently and they screw it up a couple times, that allows Unicorns to scale, and that's what Unicorns are hoping for. This is exactly what I believe Origen did in the series against Rocket. A couple of deep wards every time just to stall the Baron long enough for their composition to come online, especially in game 1. against Rocket. To see if the Unicorns have watched that, to learn from that. If Origen have perfected their Baron baits, but you can't afford to leave a ward in the pit. That is like Baron 101.
Yeah, but right now, there's a little bit more time for Unicorns because there's no TP for Soaz. He used it before, so he can't really show himself on the bottom side. That makes it a lot easier for Unicorns to set up that potential engage. They gotta land the hook though, or the Q from Horo and start the fight.
Here's the engage. Talisman of Ascension comes out. Flash Tippers onto Hylissang. They're going to focus the support. They've got themselves 1 kill. They invested a fair amount for that, but Chum the Waters is still up. He's going to connect onto Horo. Horo's not going to carry it further, though. Piercing Arrow comes out. He's going to flash over the wall, or ward hop, rather. I'm going to see some barrel mechanics to clear the wave. So, Hylissang is down. Origen peeled back. They've got vision superiority around Baron, and they're going to force the face check. Cannon Barrage is up for Chachi. How are UOL going to respond? Baron below 50%. They're going to be maybe in time. No, they're not. They're too late. Baron is secured by Origen at 28 minutes. Chain of Corruption goes way wide. Power of Evil claims what I believe was a Mythy stun. Chachi's going to be chunked up. Plus the Missile Barrage. Now Vardax is the next target. He's going to get slowed by that hail of arrows, and Origen decide to back away, not overcommitting.
So Origen gets the engage because once again they're in the dark. They pop everything they have. Unicorn's not in a position where they can get onto the backlines. They have to run away, gives up a kill. Then we just see Origen go straight back to Baron. Would have loved to see that Chachi also being placed just around the entire pit.
Yep. Knowing
that, okay, we can't get in there in time, get them as low as possible, so for the fight after, we might be able to take them down. Origen had room to kite around, and we saw how low Soaz was.
Good decision making around that ultimate. Neil stepped into the pit. Origen says, okay, we're in time. Horo can't reach us. Vardax almost got the reset. I think if he managed to just not jump the full distance, he could have maybe turned around and killed Soaz quicker. Soaz did fail to hop into wall though, so obviously can't expect that to come out. Could have been ugly for Origen, but good decisive shot calling around Baron is what they've shown in multiple games so far in the series. Took a long while for them to perfect that Baron bait, but eventually they did get it.
Yeah, that's the thing, they get rewarded. We're still only 29 minutes into the game. They are ahead in gold to 3,000 at this point, but they've been betting around that Baron for such a long time because Unicorns doesn't seem to have any plays to make. They're not setting themselves up in a position where they can make a play, so they're relying now on the outplay. They're basically relying on Origen to make a mistake. We need someone to overextend, get hooked by Hylissang, and they can pull him in and they can start the fight, or Horo to kick someone back. But again, that requires Origen to make that mistake. And that shows in the scores as well. Hylissang is often desperately looking for these hooks, overstepping. Finds one on amazing now, no follow-up.
Cannon Barrage does come in though. Defensive flash, Ignite is ticking, and Amazing will survive, but very nearly losing their jungler. That Sundis from Azir is going to stall out some of this Baron time. Origen have the lead. Origen have one more foot in the World Championship, but they need to break through the inhibitor base, and it's Soaz pushing top that wants to do it.
And that was the kind of hooks you can get before the team start setting up these wards here on the flank, because there was nothing really in the jungle to spot Hylissang. So very nice hook from him, but just not enough to get the kill, and now Origen will get the map control once again. You can see the wards. They're going on Soaz though.
Soaz may be able to turn this one around. The barrels come out. He's going to trade 1-for-1 most likely. The kill is secured by Chachi's gangplank, but here come the rest of Origen, and the Unicorns are split. Tippers stuns Vardax. Niels is going to flash over the barrel. He's got an explosive charge in his head, but it won't kill him. Nimithi managed to get a kill onto Vardax as well. 3 members of the Unicorns are down. Make that 4, in fact. Power of Evil is going to do the best he can to defend, but it's 1-on-4 with Baron minions on the way to the tower. Origen may be able to break open the base at 31 minutes. Thanks to Soaz's split push, Talisman of Ascension is coming out and the cocoon doesn't connect. But the objectives are secured, and for Origen, they now have super minions as well.
Origen finally take that on inhibitor rather. Power of Evil couldn't get his soldiers in place because Origen as a unit stormed at him. You may take one of us down, but you'll die in the process. Inhib tower falls. Inhib falls too. Finally an opening. OG made a bit of an overreach there. Soaz did get caught, plus a flash. But then Unicorns, they need to back off. They walked forward into that lane, not expecting Origen just simply to rotate, aggressively shut them down.
Let's see it again. Hylissang goes in with Chachi. They want to just see if we get one kill, we can force the rest of Origen back into base. But Soaz gets a kill for himself and kites around a little bit. So now you can see the rest of the Origen teams are coming in. And by now, Chachi and Vardax just have to try and run away. And Horo even trying to do his best to stop them from dying, but ends up just being even more people going down.
Well played by Origen, punishing Unicorns. Not really planning.
They want Source again, though.
This could be smart.
But at what cost? Look at this. Soaz is going in on Power of Evil. Emperor's Divide actually may delay this. Unicorns are committing. Look at Origen. They're pushing through the middle lane with Niels. Soaz is down, but Niels will get some damage on this tower.
Amazing is going to try and stop the recalls, but I think he's too late. So Niels on the mid lane tower with the rest of Origen now to take it down. The kill was not worth it for Unicorns, but they have to try something.
Look behind, the teleport comes in. This could be decent fight, but Chachi is alone very early.
He is alone, he's gonna go down 3v1. Chachi's trying to get away, puts a barrel down, but it simply will not matter. And in the background, Amazing's even able to get a kill onto Vardags. Horo's gone low. It's completely coming apart at the seams. Origen have got 6,000 gold, more than their opponents. They are gonna get another inhibitor. And the flight from Expaco Airlines that Amazing and Niels want to board to Worlds is going to be booked soon. Origen just have to focus the Nexus.
You see though, again, Unicorns trying to get the engage. Chachi teeping in behind. He got that Infinity Edge second, so at least he got some gold for himself. Does mean he's very squishy. He's not the guy you want to flank, but they have to try. I mean, they got that kill on the Fizz in the bottom lane, and when you fall this far behind, Desperation might be your best bet.
You have to go for a split, just didn't quite connect. Maybe if they all bought home guards and rushed out of the base quick enough, could have been it. I think they committed too much on a kill on Soaz. They really didn't believe in Power of Evil cancelling that Soaz Q with ulti. They all pathed around the same way, then forced Vizzy Chachi to use his ultimate. Imagine if Chachi didn't use Cannon Barrage on that bot lane, he could have used it mid. Suddenly we had a whole different, not a whole different game, but a whole different 2 minutes of the game. That could have been enough. Good flank TP, but
could have saved an inhibitor.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Back to Baron now, and Horo placed the ward on the other side of the Baron. So he doesn't have the same one as before, and I do believe Origen now have learned the lesson, because against Rocket yesterday, the same kind of ward was in the way, and now they should bring a pink or a sweeper.
It's when you respect your opponents enough that you think, they'll never ward the pit, right? Who does that these days? Because we'll sweep it. They'll ward outside of the pit. And then you mind game them by being, well, not so, not so smart and actually warding the pit. Beautiful.
34 minutes. We do see that Infinity Edge finally completed for Chachi. But it might be too little and it might be too late.
We haven't really touched on it too much, but due to the abundance of vision control, Origen are sitting quite comfortably on 3 dragons to none.
Oh yeah, Dragon is in the game.
Dragon's in the game. I mean, if all else fails, just occasionally casually walk by that pit, because I don't think Unicorns of Love have even seen what the Dragon looks like this game.
As long as you don't sacrifice anything for it.
Yeah.
So right now it's easy peasy, take the Dragon, except for the fact that you keep up the Baron area. So I don't 100% agree with Origen walking towards it. And I can see they decided to say as well, oh, we don't need all 4 guys.
I think
yeah, they can solo it, so that's okay. But now Source needs to be a little bit careful, because they're very split up on the map.
I think it's fine going for Dragon unless you sacrifice a Scuttle Crab.
It's fine if you give one guy for it.
And you can always kill wards, but you can't get rid of that Scuttle Crab. That's going to be a pesky nuisance for at least like 90 seconds, so...
And as they're doing now again, just keep Amazing on his own, because the other guys is enough of a threat to force Unicorns away from it. But it does give Unicorns an opening to get plenty of wards in the Baron pit at least.
But insurance claim for Origen, you know, if all else fails, 5 dragons, and we can still board a Expaco Airlines Worlds. Are they starting Baron? Yeah, they're 2-manning Baron.
That boarding pass is basically being written for Origen. The number 3 seed from Europe. Soaz walked the super minions in. Soaz is pulling attention. This is again the same play, but it's Dragon number 4. It's Baron for Origen. Soaz is still alive. He hops over the wall. The soldiers come through, and it gets the kill. But with Baron on 4 members of Origen, with only 1 Nexus turret remaining, Origen just have to get over that final hurdle.
This is the kind of game where you start hating Soaz really when you play against him, because he can be so annoying when he's dancing around in your base. He's constantly split pushing, and it can just feel like so good to walk down and kill him. Just 4 guys, you know, get that kill. You know, anyway the Baron is lost. At least get something.
Reminds me of a Chow Mei or Kao Mei Rengar World League. Just can't get rid of him. He's always in your base, and by the time you kill him, they take something else somewhere on the map.
I know, it's always these top laners, man. McNoon did the same.
I actually feel the Unicorns probably hated Soaz earlier. He stole away their Maokai pick. But as it stands, pick it.
Crushed dreams, broken hearts, and the gets.
Yep. As well as the rest of Origen, they are now grouped up. The top lane inhibitor has respawned.
It does slow him down though. Soaz still has the path. He doesn't really want to go for the aggressive teleport. Origen, slow and steady, wins the race. Slow and steady eventually destroys the base. Worst case, they fail this push and then they go back to Baron
and they get
Dragon.
Aspect.
And they
then they get the 5 dragons.
Yeah, 5 dragons. I mean,
finished in style. If you're going to Worlds, make it pretty.
5 dragons, Baron. We need Elixir of Iron on all
fabulous.
5 members.
And then you wait for the Zeke's proc, so you get gold when the photo comes, the Nexus.
I like that. We'll have to wait a long time because there's no Zeke's Harbinger for Mythy yet, but I'm willing. I'm willing to commit to that for it stands. Origen are not. Soaz has pulled up a big minion wave to face Chachi in the bottom lane, and Helleslang looks for a Hail Mary hook, and it does not connect. Origen continue to poke away. There's 3 members in the bottom half of the map. That means the top inhibitor surely is going to fall. Neil's not running the risk of going too close, and Power of Evil still zoning for a while. That Baron-empowered cannon minion is doing a lot of work.
Oro needs to be behind the Origen team here, otherwise he cannot do anything, and there's no way to stop them from just pushing in further and further. You got to go for that all-in engage. And he baited us.
He managed to get the Chain of Corruption, though. Did not connect. Amazing repelled up as well. But with that time waster, Soaz has pushed half of the inhibitor's HP down in the bottom lane. Now Origen are playing inside the base of the Unicorns of Love.
Unicorns of Love being set up for an excruciating defeat. If you want to go down, this is not the way. Slowly torn apart, slowly spread through thin. We're likely going to see a panic engage of some sorts come out. They're ready to pull the trigger. 2 inhibs down, 3rd one going down, and right now they want Soaz.
They definitely do. Chum the Waters has been used from Soaz, so he can't channel it. The inhibitor's standing though. They've killed Vardax just off screen. Niels has got himself a second as Peke secures the 3rd inhibitor in the base. Super minions will be pouring through, and for Origen, 3 inhibitors down, looking for 3-0 to take down the Unicorns of Love. The European regional 3rd place seed is about to be finalized. The 2nd best team in Europe, Origen, pushing Fnatic all the way, getting pushed by Roccat, obliterate Unicorns of Love, and book their tickets to Paris.
This has to be the least excited I'm going to World Celebration I've ever seen in my life. It's like, yay!
But the amount of pressure on Origen still coming into the gauntlet. You were so close.
They could only lose.
They could, yeah, basically.
This is not a win for them. This is just a continuation of games. If they have lost anything, they would have lost.
Everyone talked about how they deserved to go to Worlds after they showed up against Fnatic, and now they get it. 3-0. Game 1 was a close one. We saw Unicorns with some good plays, some good engages, catching out Origen a few times. This game here as well, while it was even in gold, it never felt like Unicorns took the next step in trying, okay, how are we now going to close the game? How are we now going to push this advantage? And Origen felt like they were in control basically the entire time.
What have we learned from Origen then, from watching them against Roccat go through the trials and trepidations, and now against Unicorns? I feel their highs, their ceiling is very good. They have the capability to perform well, but they've demonstrated a lot of mistakes and weaknesses over the last 8 games.
I think overall they play poke compositions well. Soaz knows how to play 4-1s, especially carry top laners. He has unlocked, hey, I too can play Maokai, something we always have a question mark, you know, can he play tanks? Yes, he can, clearly.
Can he? Will he?
Will he is the question, but can he? But overall, they've also shown some weaknesses. And whether it's due to individual play or just the way the team is set up, we can't deny the fact that Xpeke got ganked a lot and died in the process. Whether that's a team issue or just a little bit carelessness from Xpeke, that might be a potential weakness going to Worlds.
Yeah, it's a little bit surprising because coming into the summer split, Origen won a lot of games by just being better individually than some of the other teams. They would just stomp them in the laning phase almost and just roll over them.
Except Xpeke, who then was farming to like 240 CS with Vladimir. That was kind of the joke when he said, okay, these guys are playing 4v5, you know, this is why I pay them, this is why I'm the boss.
Sure.
And it worked.
But then, now when we see some of the plays they're pulling off where it is the correct play to make, they fail the execution. You know, they miss a skill shot here and there, or they go in too early in the dive.
How dare they?
Or whatever it is. That is their, I mean, that's why we got to see them get back to where the mechanical play really is spot on from them. It still is. I mean, we see some fantastic players on this team, but that's where we see some mistakes. Because I feel like macro-wise strategy, they have some very good calls they're making. They're good at using the minion waves. They're good at using the side lanes and vision control as well between Mythy and of course, Amazing is almost spot on right now. We just got to see them be able to execute the plays a little bit better. And then, of course, avoid getting these early deaths in the mid lane.
Something we do have to compliment them for, they have never been outpicked or outdrafted in the sense that they can't play a champion. They mastered all 3 flex picks. This series, Shen didn't really come to the table, but they've shown Soaz can play it if he wants to. Probably doesn't seem to me like Soaz. I love Shen, but Myth he can play it too.
Love is a strong word, but he has played it twice, in fact.
So they mastered the flex picks, Shen, Lulu, etc. And Fizz, for example, they can play Kalista. Niels can handle himself in a hyper carry competition. Sure. So they have a depth of strategy, and that's what you need at least going to Worlds.
And I want to mention Niels as well. This is his rookie split. This is the first time that he's played on the big stage. He's shown absolutely zero cares for his opponent or for his situation. He always delivers. Always. There are very few times you can look at him the split and go, that was a monumental mistake. And that's fantastic. Okay. For the rest of the players on the stage, they all have Worlds experience. They all have a wealth of experience. But as a team, also, they're rookie split. And they're making it to Worlds. Yes, it's the 3rd seed. It's the most difficult seed you can get.
Yeah.
With NA 3rd seed and international wildcards. So you're going to be paired with very difficult teams in your groups. And that's definitely going to be something that Origen have 1 month to look at, 1 month to prepare and plan how they're going to play around.
But we see how important being able to adapt between games is, especially for Origen, because now they had so many extra games here in playoffs and the Gauntlet. We keep seeing small changes in the pick and ban phase. Mythic came out yesterday and said, okay, we had bad priority on certain picks. It got fixed towards the last game when they first picked the Braum, and it worked really well for them. And now we see them have answers to everything Unicorns are doing in this series. Oh, Victor, let's run poke against it. Oh, Azir, okay, we can just pick poke again. Fun enough against it. You want to run
all the answers to poke.
Fizz is ready to counter the Gangplank and so on. They had answers ready here, and we get to see like Hermit and Ducky, the 2 guys working behind the coach and the analyst, really show that they can adapt as well with the team.
Well, they definitely can, and because of their ability to adapt and run the European Gauntlet, Origen will be the 3rd seed from Europe. Let's head to the analyst desk and talk to our newest World Championship contender.
Thank you so much, guys. Well, first off, congratulations to amazing Xpeke and Niels. You guys made it, and although a lot of people thought that you guys would end up on top here on the Gauntlet, it has proven to be an extremely stressful situation. I got to go to you first, Peke, as the leader of the team and the founder, of course. Talk to me through the stressful situation of coming from almost beating Fnatic to having to do this all over.
Well, it's a tough situation because we prepare a lot for Fnatic, kinda, and then we had to prepare three best of 5 pretty much. Well, 2 best of 5 for 1 weekend. Rocket especially was a tough team because we didn't know anything about them at all for 1 month. And it's like, we lost the last 2 games against them. So you kind of think about that and you're like, we don't know what they play. We don't know what they have been doing. And our last games were losses. So it's kind of, you feel a bit the pressure. But at the same time, we just prepare the same way we did before.
Feel a bit the pressure. Amazing. How was it going up against Rocket? And what is it about Rocket that made it go all the way to 5 games? And as Peke said already, was not so good for you guys in the regular season.
Rocket is really good at punishing mistakes, and we like to do mistakes once in a while. So, you know, it's like a team that is really tough to beat because they will basically try to hold the game to like 40-50 minutes. You know, when they have their late comes scaling in. So if you screw up in the early to mid game, you'll fall behind against them and you won't come back. So as Pick already said, our preparation wasn't as good because our pick bans were kind of shady in the first 3 games. So it's just something about them that just makes maybe me tilt, Mythic tilt, whatever it is, you know. But I guess we fixed it.
As one of the younger players to the LCS, Niels, obviously the Gauntlet format is very different from Best of Ones. How was that change for you, you know, as we said, one of the rookie of the split?
I mean, I don't do that much of pick and bans, you know. I just play. So it's just like, you play 3 Best of Ones or 4 Best of Ones or 5 Best of Ones. It's not like that much difference for me in terms of being a rookie or not. It's just like more games, you know. And I don't do that much pick and bans. I do a little bit of strategy, but yeah, it's not really me who does pick and bans, adaptations, all this kind of stuff. So it doesn't really affect me in any way. That is Best of 5, but it's a better format than Best of 1 for sure.
What about in the games then? Because especially that game versus Fnatic where you guys came back from like an 8K gold deficit, it was your Tristana and you're jumping in that got that game back in your favor. Do you feel that you have evolved a lot from the solo queue player that you were, or are you just kind of doing the same things with a good team behind you?
I mean, I have improved from being a solo queue player to being a team player, you know. You need to have trust in your team to know that Lulu has your backup, you know. Peke has my back when I'm playing Tristana with Lulu, so I know that he has my back, and if I jump in, I'll be ulted by him, you know. So, by having him, my team behind me, and I trust them, I can use that with my own judgment to carry the game. When you have this kind of comp, hybrid carry with a Lulu is super good.
It is super good. All in all, you guys, you're happy, but you don't seem absolutely ecstatic. Is that because of the roller coaster? Everything has been amazing. Yesterday, we saw you on cam. You seemed a little bit done after that series. You seemed quite exhausted. Is that why you guys are not as happy now? Do you think you've deserved this all along?
I don't really think so. Like what happened yesterday is just like the series was so tough for us to actually win it. You know, like to be fair, Rocket played like a hell of a series. So afterwards, I was just like really emotional about it. Couldn't really like focus anymore, and just like had to let some steam go. Now it's just like we made it towards as third seed. It was more like a work win. You know, like we had to do it. You know, because Unicorns of Love are not the strongest team in the world right now. So it's just like another step on the way. So I guess that's why we're not exploding. We didn't beat Fnatic, which was like the big thing you wanted to accomplish, but we're content with where we are.
Well, you certainly are in a good spot being in Worlds, but you guys was speaking to our video team in Pekka. You said that you felt you deserved to be top 3. You deserved to be there for Worlds. Looking at a tough series against Rocket yesterday, obviously today's series a lot easier with a 3-0. Do you still stand by those words?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Like it's like I said yesterday, I was thinking about it, and at first, during the LCS, even though we were top 2 in the regular league, I was like, yeah, we haven't played playoffs yet. We might not do so good on playoffs. We might play worse on best of 5. So I couldn't really say that we might be at top 3, even if we were at the 2nd place. But then when we played playoffs against H2K, even now against Unicorns of Love, even against Rocket, even though we had many troubles, we managed to beat them on a best of 5. So we pretty much proved that we can beat any team on the LCS as a Fnatic, but that was really close. So yeah, I think right now we have this level for the whole split and playoffs to be a top 3 team.
All right, that means that you guys are looking forward to Worlds, possibly a very tough group, and a lot to think about, a lot to prepare. First off, Peke, are you hoping Azir is out of the meta by the time you guys get to Worlds? Or?
No, that's fine. I'm going to play him more.
All right. No, on a serious note, though, a lot of time to prepare now and getting to Worlds. I want to get all of your opinions about going into that because, of course, veterans here, amazing, who's had an appearance there as well, something to prove. Nils, a brand new kid on the block going to the international stage. How are you working towards that? Amazing. And what do you want to prove?
What do I want to prove? That I guess I want to prove that we, as Origen, are a really strong team and can be contender like on a world-class level. And that's something we've been working towards for the whole season. So nothing really changes, to be fair.
Okay.
What was the question again? I was out.
Working towards Worlds as the veteran that you are, what do you specifically want to prove there?
I don't know. I would just like to play a lot, pretty much. It's going to be hard because we might get like a death group. We can pretty much get a really, really hard group. But still, I would like to work really hard individually and as a team to just show that we have the level to be there. Even if we lose because we play like the best teams in the world, still so that we can put a fight against them and don't let them go away with a free win against us, pretty much.
Nils, finally.
For me personally, it's always been like, you just want to go, and if you win, it's really, really nice. But if you lose, it's like, whatever, it doesn't really matter, you know, like, sure, we win our groups, but, I mean, we lost in groups and we didn't go further, but it doesn't really matter. But if we win, it's really nice, you know, so it's like, happy if you win, if you don't win, it's unlucky.
The glass is half full. If it's half empty, it doesn't matter. You're not thirsty.
Not thirsty at all. Are you guys thirsty to match any particular team at Worlds? Your ticket's booked, other teams are booked. Amazing. Who are you looking forward to, or who do you want to play against at Worlds?
No, I can't do that. You know, like if I'm the dark horse that beats them again, you know, out of groups, I mean, basically like force them into like some kind of first Korean team. You know, I don't want to be that team. So I rather want to face like, let's see, who's there? I think CLG. Maybe avenge my boys from TSM a bit. You know, just like beat them up for him, and hope for the best.
Anyone else have a preference?
No, nothing really, because we're gonna face tough opponents. For sure, like I don't have like him. I wouldn't mind playing TSM. I would actually like to play TSM because I didn't play them for so long. I don't remember if 2 or 3 years now. It was really a long time since I last faced them. So it would be good to play against them, maybe.
Nils, anything reference or just?
I don't really care.
A win is a win. Playing.
I'll just go there and play, and if winning against someone good, it's really, really nice, you know.
Yeah, oh, you're such a positive person. It's fantastic. It's great to see. One more thing while we have you guys here, we awarded a player of the series for this one as well, and it was kind of cheated already because you probably saw it on the teleprompter, but amazing. Congratulations. Well, you say what? Especially in the first two games.
No, actually, the way that Niels played in the first game, I think he deserved it because like his Tristana was just like really thick. So thank you for the honor, though. What should I say, dude?
Nice
No, I think that's good. Well, congratulations, you guys. Player of the series for amazing, but you guys all stepping up, running the gauntlet, fantastic, and we'll see you at Worlds.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now with our 3 European Worlds contenders locked in, let's check in with Quickshot for a look at the competition.
Thank you very much, Shocks. First of all, congratulations once again to Origen and all the guys on the analyst desk for participating today. So with the victory today, Origen are the number 3 seed from Europe, joining Fnatic as well as H2K. The 3rd seed from North America will be determined later today. And as you can see, there are still 4 spots to be determined. One of them will be from North America. We've got another international wildcard team to determine, 2 from China and 1 from Korea. So this table will be wrapped up by next week. We'll know all 16 teams. What does the teams mean for the group stage and how will they be determined? Let's take a look at the group draw for the World Championships here in 2015. Teams will be seeded into 3 respective groups. Number 1 seeds from North America, Europe, China, and Korea are in Pool 1. The number 2 seeds from North America, from Europe, as well as the number 2 and 3 seeds from China and Korea, as well as LMS, will be in Pool 2. And then Pool 3 will include the international wildcard teams, as well as the number 3 seeds from North America and Europe. Now, that's a whole lot of seeding stuff. What it boils down to, 1 team from Pool 1, 2 teams from Pool 2, and 1 team from Pool 3 will be drawn into each of the groups. It's important to note that no group will have more than 1 team from the same region. So what does that mean? Let's do some examples, right? Origen, they're the 3rd seed. So they'll be taken from Pool 3. They could be going into Group 1, Group A rather. They could be joining the likes of TSM from Pool 2. If H2K get drawn, H2K will then jump to Group B because they cannot be in the same group. And then obviously one of the groups from the top of the table, let's assume it's Fnatic, they bounce to C, let's assume they draw CLG, then Amazing gets his wish and he gets to compete against CLG on the world stage. It's still very weird seeing CLG on the world stage. Doublelift on not the analyst desk is something I'm just not familiar with at all, but I wish them all the best. I wish them luck at Worlds. The group draw will be taking place before Worlds commences. Obviously, once we know all 16 teams next week, we will be revealing the specifics of the live group draw show that will take place with the PTL team. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the cookie crumbles and how the groups shape up and shake out. And I'm especially looking forward to hearing our analysts talk about the groups and how they're going to compete with one another. So now that you get a better idea of how the groups work and how the draw is going to play out, let's head back to the analyst desk to close out the 2015 European Summer Split.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. That was very, very informative. A couple of shots fired in there as well.
Of course.
I think we should talk about the European teams at Worlds, especially now seeing some of the groups. Let's start with Origen. We just saw them playing. We saw a lot of them throughout the playoffs and the entire gauntlet that they have run. We heard them here. Neil saying, okay, if we win, it's good. If we lose, it's whatever. What can they bring to the world stage?
Well, they obviously bring a wealth of experience and a good AD carry, something you always need at Worlds, in my opinion. They have depth of strategy. We've talked a little bit about this earlier after the match too. But they're bringing a couple of weaknesses. They have time to fix it, but when they get challenged the way they did like against Rocket, and in some parts of these games, that will get completely torn apart against one of the better Eastern teams at Worlds.
Yeah, and they have that last seed as well coming in.
So rough.
You can get like LGG,
SKT,
Coup Tigers coming in, whatever it is. I mean, we don't even know the remaining teams from China, but all of them will be insanely difficult to play against, especially because Origen, if you do make a mistake in the early game at Worlds, you will get punished so hard. And that's something they need to fix, but at the same time, you got some time now. You can be very happy with your performance so far in Europe. And as you said, they have the players who's been on that stage before, which does mean a lot.
Also, they just have been adapting patch to patch pretty well. Worlds will be played on 5.18. We obviously have no clue how that's going to look. It'll be a slightly modified 5.16. A lot of modifications need to be made still, but Origen have shown that they can adapt from patch to patch, and they've mastered 5.14 overall so far. So far, so good.
Yeah, this is really important actually. Like the new patch, it brings us so much new things, you know, like even more the Kaiser AD carry. We see Reckless spamming it, Niels also playing it in solo queue. So maybe, who knows, Origen will beat SKT with Mordekaiser AD carry. We would live in a world like this.
How good would that be?
And
awesome.
I think one of the biggest benefits for Origen specifically as a team coming into a new patch is the growth of Soa, as we saw on 5.14. He was quick to pick up the Gangplank, picked it up well. If he can do that with some of the other niche picks, we've got the Juggernauts coming in here, different style, but if he is that quick to adapt, that could be a strength for Origen compared to some of the other teams.
I'm just really, that's a great idea there. You pick Mordekaiser, how do you kill SKT? You just use them against him. You kill Faker somehow, 5 guys, then you use Faker to kill his teammates.
You gotta call Dumbledore and ask how we're gonna do that. And
call Dumbledore, get some tips, kill Faker, use him against SKT,
Don't
win
reveal
worlds.
all the strategies. SKT were maybe watching, you know, now they know.
Yeah, okay.
Quite interesting though, to that point, Sean, I also heard you talking about how you view Soaz as a player, as a fellow Frenchie as well. The fact that, for instance, Gangplank, he masters it, maybe the best in the West, maybe the best in the world, as the Fisho throws around just like that. For sure. And you told us about how you see his growth with champions, that he goes to a plateau really quickly. How will that influence him going into Worlds, which could be a lot of weeks and a lot of different picks coming up?
Yeah, definitely. This is really like a talent from Soaz. Like whenever he picks a champion, he instantly mains it, I would say. Because whenever back in the day when you were still in CLG, I remember like Soaz could play anything, you know, and every time he was like good and really good then. But after, I can sometimes wonder if he practiced a lot of the champion compared to someone that grows slower. Maybe the other guy will like be better than Soaz, you know. And in this playoff, it shows up really well because between Rocket and Unicorn is in only one day. But then after, in the Worlds, new champion gonna rise. I think about Darius top, for example, it's really strong. But maybe someone that will master him way more will be stronger than Soaz. So I have some question, and also to bounce back about XPK champion pool, we'll see a lot of evolution with the new patches. So I'm really curious to see what he has to bring up.
I do worry a little bit about how long it took for Origen to perfect the pick and ban phase for them. In the end, they definitely mastered the patch, but we saw a lot of the discussions, a lot of interviews with like Mithy and so on, and some of the players saying, oh, we had the wrong priority. We needed to move Braum further up. We didn't realize how OP he was. It took a long time before they picked up the likes of Azir and so on. That kind of things can happen because you need to be able to play at the maximum level at the start of the Worlds. Because it's group stage, you got only a few games to get out of groups, you know? Yep. So you don't have that time to always adapt in between. They need to be a little bit better than at finding the right patch or finding the right pick, at the right time.
Especially if you look at the timing for Worlds, it sounds very far away, right? So you have plenty of weeks to prepare, but the meta is still evolving, and most importantly, the meta will evolve in the dark. These teams, they will go off the grid. There are no more tournaments until Worlds starts. Some of these teams might go to Korea, may not, may get scrims with the better teams, but obviously the best teams in the world gotta hide as much information as they can. That means in that 1 week that you have where you arrive in Europe, likely speaking, before the group stage, that's when you need to get rapid progression, learn very quickly, and that's where we might see where Origen dropped the ball, potentially or not, where they can adapt to the patch, learn from their few scrims, because that's what the teams are doing there. They're just feeling each other out. If they can take more information from you than from them, then they'll take your scrims. If they're only handing you information, they're not going to keep scrimming you, so you only have a couple of games to really learn what the teams are doing and adapt, because that's the interesting part about Worlds. All these metas collide, especially lane swaps, and one reigns supreme. We've seen this every Worlds. Yeah. Different regions play different styles, and all of a sudden, one reigns supreme, and by week 2 in the group stages, everyone is playing the exact same lane swap.
Yeah, this will be awesome, and exactly is the point. Like when you are in scrims, like for example, one team, let's say you scrim SKT. SKT will show up with, I don't know, Jack Stop. So then after you lose against Jack Stop, then you will play Jack Stop. Then you will play with another team in scrim. So they will see that Jack Stop is strong, they will play Jack Stop. But then after SKT comes back, they find something to counter Jack. So then you play the counter of Jack, and everything's a circle until the point where it's Worlds. And when it's Worlds, then you have to be the most prepared compared to what you've seen in scrim. And this is where it might be funny.
It's Worlds.
It's Worlds.
Look how you guys are saying. I'm not even saying. Oh, you guys just said it.
Okay, fine.
Some of the changes that have been
soon.
We had that yesterday.
You'll realize it.
Some of the changes that have been made to the format, though, do make the whole scrimming for Worlds a little bit different than it has been before, because now you can't have 2 teams from the same region in the same group. They'll bounce across. So that means the European teams can scrim each other, which means somebody's going to get scrim against Fnatic potentially. And the #1 seeded teams can't predict who they'll end up facing going out into the bracket stage. So it's not like Fnatic can just say, hey, we'll scrim SKT every week, because they may end up randomized against them. So
I mean, it's a good start, though, if you get to scrim
right,
SKT
of course,
every week.
of course.
Yeah, you know, then you'll take the quarterfinals
right
after, and yeah, they might be annoying, but remember there will be changes. Like after the group stage, people figure out, okay, this pick didn't work, this pick didn't work. So even though it had been scrimming the same team for like 3 weeks, they will have to change and adapt leading into the quarterfinal. But really just when it comes to the Worlds format, when it comes to the gauntlet, playoffs, I mean, consistency is key. Because if you, when you now play 3 best out of 5s, or potentially 3 best out of 5s over these days here from Saturday to now, it's about how well you perform consistently. Because you can't always just go in and try and surprise your team or try and like outsmart them. If you consistently are good enough to set yourself in situations where you outplay them, I know it sounds very buzzwordy, whatever, but that is how it is. I mean, same for Worlds.
Analysis.
There you go. Be consistent, you will win games.
Win conditions. Identify them. It was really nice. Yesterday you coined lose conditions or loss conditions.
I'm very familiar with lose conditions. That's why I just looked at that aspect.
We keep talking about the Worlds format, and of course we're coming out of the OG game and the Gauntlet, so we're talking about OG. I almost feel like we don't talk about H2K all that much because we have Fnatic as one of, the front runners, and then we have OG coming in as a 3rd seed. Let's talk a little bit about H2K because they've almost snuck through and they deserve their spot, but we can't really tell that much about them.
Well, the seeds right now going into Worlds for people that don't know, it's Fnatic number 1, H2K 2, Origen 3. In my head, the ranking of the teams still is Fnatic 1, Origen 2nd, and H2K 3rd. So debatable.
Okay.
Okay, let's start debating.
There you go.
I disagree.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay,
And why?
debate's over.
All right, no, but I think H2K is pretty strong actually, and Origen like really in a rush at the moment. Maybe not the best BO5. Unicorns seem to be weak, to be honest, in this series, but they seem to be like in a rush. Even Rocket could have win actually, and I think to come back even more, the first game of the BO5 against Rocket from yesterday, I think changed the team that will go to Worlds. Because I think that if Rocket would have won this game, maybe they would have faced the Unicorn, and I think they potentially would have won. The game would have been different. But still, about H2K, I still think they are stronger than Origen because of the jungle support synergy.
I kind of want to challenge that.
I think so.
I think H2K
you will see.
are better when they have learned one single way and they're going to play that way and they'll do it well. As soon as that second week of groups changes and they have to play a different way in a week, that's where we saw them struggle. The patch changed. Everybody else started lane swapping better and H2K fell behind.
They didn't adapt to how people found counters to their lane
style.
Swap. And then at the same time, looking at the semifinal where Origen played H2K, I feel like it was because Mythi and Amazing were better than Lulix and Kasing together that Origen won the matchup. So unless Lulix and Kasing can really find that synergy leading up to Worlds or leading into Worlds, I think Origen will be the stronger team. But then again, that's if they play each other. So now they got to be able to again play against all these other teams here, and they can also expose a lot of these weaknesses we see from both teams.
I just think H2K as a team has had issues adapting. When Cinderhawk came out, they had issues adapting. When they had these genius lane swaps, week 1 to, I believe, 4, they had the best lane swap in the entire LCS. We were praising them constantly because they were really moving out Oruwamne, getting him behind in CS, but using him to just dive towers everywhere. And then you have these games where H2K played SK Gaming. Lulix was walking in 1 by 1. Kasing wasn't with him. They tried to dive. Obviously, SK knew this was coming. They just stood at their towers, zoned them off, and suddenly H2K fell apart. And this happened multiple times overall. They'll need to change their dependency on what's used for them and learn how to adapt on the fly. If they get better at that, then obviously they can do well at Worlds.
H2K was the first team together with Fnatic to kind of perfect their dives after lane swaps, which has been the most effective way of kind of play. Like after lane swap is over, you get that numbers advantage where 4 guys go top and like kill the poor top lane who tries to get a little bit of farm. You dive him instantly, and it's very low risk play because you have set up the vision in advance. They were the first team together with Fnatic to really do that well in Europe. Problem is everyone else adapted it because again it was clearly the best style, so everyone else learned it. And then suddenly it wasn't as low risk, high reward anymore because now teams were ready for it. They would counter it or they would do exactly the same on the other side of the map, and then suddenly H2K didn't get that advantage. So they got to show now with a few more weeks that they can fix some of the synergy problems we have seen between maybe jungle and the rest of the team, and then also when it comes to new lane swap, new picks and bans.
A lot of what we're talking about, though, is how H2K have done in Europe. We've never seen them outside, but I don't feel confident that any European team other than Fnatic are going to get out of groups. You look at the problems Origen has, the problems H2K has. You put them up against a number 1 seeded team for any of the other regions, and against a number 2 seeded China, Korea team, potentially even LMS. We always underestimate LMS teams.
You forgot NA.
Who? Well,
just objective.
By the way, we will be moving over to NA after this is wrapped up, but we were done quite early, so that gives us some chance to talk about this. But hey, I didn't mean to bail you out.
No,
Keep going.
It's fine. All I'm saying, this is a hole that I feel like there is a clear escape from, because I think their weaknesses will get exploited against the second-seeded and first-seeded teams from other regions.
Oh, definitely. So I think H2K overall, have shown that they're not the strongest in lanes, and these teams go showing up in Worlds, they will punish you. I just can't wait for the relatively slow and steady 2v2 lane meta in bot lane, whether they're matched top lane or bot lane, to just get destroyed by Chinese bot lanes. That is what I want to see.
You want to see EU suffer, or what?
I want to see people get kills in lane.
So actually, it's true that it has been a bit slow recently in terms of kills.
It's always max range.
Yeah, kinda. It's like, okay, we don't take any risk. It's most likely about rotations, about movement as a team and things like this. But I think that actually watching China and Korea is totally different. Yeah.
When China groups 5 people at your first red buff, 3 minutes, 30 seconds in the game, and you're not ready for this,
you take the tower and give them the red buff.
No.
I'm just saying it.
To be fair, yeah, China starts fighting 5 minutes. It'll be exciting at least to see the styles clash. That is.
It will. And
I agree.
Obviously, China has changed quite a lot. It's no longer the, oh, it's Chinese aggression. That's the only thing there is. No, there are some teams who are fantastic macro play. They're very good at knowing when to set up the right fights and how to start them. And then you add in the fact their individual ability of some of these players. Like
mostly junglers.
Mostly junglers. I mean, that's a bonus. But you got some star players coming over from Korea. You have some of the Chinese players with mechanics that are just insane. So you have that together with a team who are now very good at setting up objectives and know when to fight. That is so difficult to deal with, and also why China right now is, in my opinion, the most competitive region. And if we look at it, basically, even though we haven't only seen LGG as the qualified team, the 3-4 remaining teams can all be a threat at Worlds if they manage to qualify.
Yeah, compare that to Europe, we can't make that same statement over here. We can definitely say Fnatic could do well against these teams, but then even though the first seed could potentially, you could see losing against different Chinese teams overall, and that's why it's going to be very exciting to see how that plays out, whether EDG actually gets to Worlds, even though everybody expected them to be full-on getting in there, but then, yeah.
They don't expect it.
They don't expect it. They came out to say, like, we're very worried about this, this may not happen, so it'll definitely be an interesting end of the playoffs, or whatever it's called, the post-playoffs race.
Yeah, the regionals, which actually start Friday for China. Korea start on Wednesday. So it's all this week, so much
Not that great
more
at nomenclature.
A lot left to be, you are dropping big words though.
That's what I do.
Anyway, a lot left to be decided. Very, very interesting discussion and a lot to discuss going into the rest of the season. It's not all over though yet here in Europe. The European representatives at Worlds are locked in, but it's time to look towards the bottom of the summer standings and fight to stay in the LCS. We've got Sean's right here. 2016 Spring Promotion Tournament that takes place next Saturday, September 5th, as SK Gaming and Gambit defend their spots in the LCS against Gamers 2 and Mouse Sports. All right, well, let's look at that. Sean's, of course, you've been practicing a lot with the team. You have Pinoy coming in there for you guys as well. How's that been going?
Really good, really good. Like, so far, Pinoy is doing well. The team is doing really well. They really want to fight for the LCS spot. To be fully honest, like we felt like we could do something in playoff. We could do even something in Gauntlet, you know, like we have been screaming a lot of team in LCS during those past weeks and even before, and we are doing really well. So I think we will come into this match against Mouse Sports really respecting them. We watched all the games, we know everything from them, but I think like we will be really confident and like just showing up that we can do something, like just keeping our spot for sure, but then to show that in January, okay, the patch will be totally different, but I think that as a synergy, as a team, we can do really great and go really far.
I don't think there's any question that Gambit would be heavy favorites for that match. I mean, that's the one we're all looking at saying, okay, Gambit, big favorites, they should be able to requalify. The other match, Gamers 2 versus SK Gaming, that's...
On paper, is tilted toward SK Gaming.
But then we don't really know what's been going on and how much, you know, they've been practicing. Gamers 2 have, of course, been super try-harding for this. We know how badly they want to get into the LCS. So that one is the tricky one to call. I think Gambit is definitely in their favor. So good for you.
I hope so. But I still think, like, just to keep an objective point of view, I still think that LCS team are stronger than a challenger team. You know, for example, even Copenhagen Wolves that ended 10th, I think they could still like compete with the first Dignitas U, for example. You know, like you cannot match them, but there is so much difference. You know, I was player before and as a challenger, and I was LCS. This is totally different in terms of playstyle, mindset of players, the way they approach the game and everything. That I still think LCS team has always a little bit of lead before even, you know, like you see the players or anything coming up.
Only one advice, just don't give them 5 dragons.
Good advice.
Oh,
Spot on
please,
advice.
Good
Spot on
advice.
advice.
I think that goes
Please.
for a lot of teams, though, as well.
Yeah. Just avoid those 5 dragons,
Good
guys.
advice. Anyway, our coverage of the promotion tournament and those matches begins at 2 p.m. Central European time. That is 5 a.m. Pacific next Saturday. So get ready for a full day of games with a lot on the line. Until then, though, we need to sign off and hand things over to the North American LCS team for their final regional qualifier bout between Team Liquid and Cloud9. Thank you very much, Sean, for sitting in here and helping us with the analysis. Thank you guys all for watching, from myself and everyone here at the EU side of things. Thank you for joining us for the 2015 regional qualifier, and until next time, we'll see you in solo queue.
And thank you, Shocks.
Bye.
You're welcome.
Reverse sweep.
Hey.
Sweep hype.
Welcome back to the European League Championship Series.
And the Spring Split champions open up summer with a massive victory.
Niels jumped on by Lulex. Does he have the damage? Condemned against the wall. Yes, he does. Niels is unstoppable.
Holy moly! What did Rio eat for breakfast?
Nukta's gonna look for the Quadra. Can he get it? He does! Quadra kill for Nukta. Ladies and gentlemen, Fnatic versus Origen. And this is the game we all wanted. Fnatic put on a fantastic performance. The original fan favorites. They will take down Origen. He gets it! The Bandit steals the Baron!
With that loss, the Copenhagen Wolves now find themselves in automatic relegation. I do not think this will be the last we've seen of these 5 players.
SK Gaming has had a lot of troubles finding success so far.
He's trying to defend. Bird is the word.
Take a look at this. Holy moly. Froggen Mechanics is in the house.
A Quadra kill just like that for the Orion. A pentakill for Power of Evil.
Diamond, though, he's gonna go in for the gang and
The 3-man
Dying setup.
I demand a replay of that.
Fnatic will become the first team in LCS history to do it. The perfect split, 18-0.
Time for the quarterfinals in the European LCS.
Be the
That's
goal!
a 3-man brawl! The Unicorns of Love are on to the Nexus, knocking Rocket out of the playoffs. H2K will be advancing to face Origen.
Go Origen, go!
Origen, all split long, have been a really, really strong team.
H2K get aced. Origen, now they're going to Stockholm in the finals. Reckless is running. He's got the pentakill. Reckless and Fnatic will be heading to the summer finals. Welcome to the European LCS Summer Split Finals. Jon is looking for Bardak and he's going to find him. That's going to be the Quadra kill. H2K 3-0 the Unicorn. For the first time in 3 months, 12 weeks, 6 patches, one team added 1 loss to Fnatic's roster, and it's Origen.
Sula's got it!
It's game 5 in the Summer Split Finals, and we have a mini base race on our hands. Reckless gets the kill on Peke, and we're going to Worlds. They will represent Europe as the #1 seed. There'll be one more team going to Worlds. The pressure is now on Origen in the final game of our regional qualifier. Mid laners are starting to roam. Two men get hit by the flame. Here comes Pekka. Empress Divine throws Horo into Neil's waiting hand. The second best team in Europe, Origen, pushing Fnatic all the way, getting pushed by Rocket, obliterate Unicorns of Love, and book their tickets to Paris.